What is going on to all my horror fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new movie review, and today we're breaking down the new Scott Derrickson horror film starring Ethan Hawke by the name of The Black Phone, a film I got the opportunity to check out in theaters the other night, and I'm so excited to share my thoughts with you all, and I'm going to let you know by the end of this video if it's worth checking out in theaters, all in this spoiler-free review. Before we get into today's breakdown, if you enjoy this type of content, well, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel and love early movie reviews, TV breakdowns, and live streams, well, come and join the community by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. And if you all enjoyed this spoiler-free movie review, well, make sure you're giving the video a thumbs up and also sharing it. But more importantly, once you've seen the film, let's talk about it in the comments. From your pros, your cons, your thoughts on the direction, the story, the performances. Were you scared by the film? Were you disappointed by the movie? Let's have all those discussions in the comments below. So kicking this off with my positives, let's talk about Scott Derrickson, the writer and director who I'm a fan of, whether it be The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I'm not the biggest Doctor Strange fan, but I appreciate his directing sensibilities in that movie. And then my personal favorite, Sinister. I think Scott Derrickson does such a great job of blending in so many different emotions, especially in the horror genre. He gives you the horrific moments, the thrills, the chills. I think he builds tension really well, but also I'm thinking about this film in particularly being released in the beginning of the summer. Now, for me, I'm a horror fan. Horror all year round, but a horror film in the summer for me has a certain expectations for, yes, thrilling, scary, all those emotions, but let's also have some fun, right? Now, this movie isn't funny or, a straight up like fun time, but it's a good time, right? And I think the sense of levity that he injects in the script was really well placed. So Scott Derrickson, writing, directing, really solid job. Let's also talk about his cast and crew, talking about the production of this film, which I thought the number one, camera work was on 10. I thought the way that they used the camera in this film, especially when it comes to creating useful and effective jump scares, blending in the ghosts in the background, having the interactions with Finn in the basement was really well done. Again, the camera work and the way that they use the creative jump scares and creative camera work was definitely impressive. But also, we're in the 70s, and I really thought that the nostalgia was placed perfectly. It wasn't overly used. They used a perfect amount of what our characters drink, what they eat, what are the programs they watch at night, what are the movies that are out during that time, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and just the hair, the makeup, the costuming, which, speaking of style, I got a cool new t-shirt, and I'm happy to announce the channel's very first sponsored video, Into the AM. Let's discuss more. Today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. Into the AM is a clothing company with a variety of amazing products such as t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, shorts and underwear, headwear, and much more. Their t-shirts have unique designs, they're incredibly soft and extremely comfortable, and they're made to last. But the best part is, you can get 10% off by using my discount code MovieFiles when you're selecting your new gear, which you can find that code in the description below. So again, thank you to the sponsor of this video, Into the AM. You can find all that information and use my discount to get some cool gear like this in the description of this video. So getting back into the positive, let's talk about the performances here. Now, I want to start off with Ethan Hawke, who's our bad guy, the grabber is what they call him. He's worked with Scott Derrickson in the past with Sinister, and they have a great synergy with working together because Scott Derrickson brings out this very dark and sinister, but also charming and a guy with charisma in Ethan Hawke's character. I thought he was really great in this film. They didn't overuse him. I thought that the use of the character was really well done, but also the look and design of his mask. I want to get one of those masks, not to do the stuff that the character did, but I just thought the mask was really cool. It's definitely scary at points, but I just love the design of the mask that the character wears, but also there's a purpose in the mask, and it has something to do with how the character feels about himself, which also has purpose to the film, which I appreciated. But Ethan Hawke, especially his scenes with Finn, again, very menacing, a sense of, levity at points with the characters, but at the end of the day, a very terrifying character by the grabber. I thought Ethan Hawke did a great job, which doesn't surprise me. Ethan Hawke's a fantastic actor, and his collaborations with Scott Derrickson has been 2 for 2 for me. But he wasn't the shining star of this film. That goes to the young actors in this movie. Now, being a horror fan that I am, young kids in horror can go one or two ways. There's really no in between. It can either go really well, like an It film in the franchise, or it can go really bad. And I think for this film, it went really well. I thought Scott Derrickson did such a great job of directing the young talent. And shout out to the young talent themselves, because yes, you can have a great director giving you great direction, but you still have to step up to the plate. And I thought starting off with our main character, Finn, he was fantastic. I really thought he was believable, because there's a sense of a beautiful arc that the character gets where he has to step up. He has to become brave and kind of get himself out of the situation. But at the same time, he's scared. He's a little kid. He's a teenager. He doesn't know what to do in the circumstance. So I really enjoyed how Finn was able to build his narrative, build a development. And I thought that young man, who had a lot to do on his own, because there's a lot of moments he's just in a basement, he's trying to figure stuff out, trying to break the glass, get out of the door, and he really carried those emotional beats. And I thought Finn was really great. But I'm going to have to give the MVP to his young sister by the name of Gwen. She was a scene stealer. I mentioned how the film is able to inject a sense of levity in the film, and she was definitely that character that did so. She was very funny. She had me and everyone in the audience laughing, especially with her praying scenes, I'll just say that, and her talking to adults at certain points of the film. She was fantastic. So even putting that aside, she's a great actress, because she has some emotional moments where we're connecting her to her mother in a particular gift, or maybe some might call it a curse, that she has in this film that adds a sense of supernatural elements to the ghosts, the phone, dreams, things of that nature. So I thought Gwen was definitely a scene stealer. And hey, if there's some spinoffs or some ways to add more to the lore, I would be for it, because I thought that young lady was absolutely fantastic. I also want to highlight the relationship that we have between Finn and his young sister Gwen, because normally in these type of films, big brother hates little sister or vice versa, but in this film, it was the complete opposite. And the siblings cared for one another, they love one another, and in some cases, little sister played big sister in protecting her big brother. So I really want to applaud and appreciate the relationship that we have between Finn and his younger sister. So Ethan Hawke, great. Finn, Gwen, great. Direction, solid. And then kind of pivoting to the story without giving too much away. The tension was there. The discovery of our characters were there. The supernatural elements was used really well. And for me being a horror fan, I wouldn't say this is a straight up scare fest. Like, there's some useful jump scares, but to me, I really applauded which again, there's so many subgenres within horror. I love the thrilling elements, the suspenseful elements, the mystery elements. Those to me really kind of stood out. Very much so kind of Stephen King-esque type of narrative, and it doesn't surprise me because his young son wrote this short story that this film is based upon. So it definitely kind of gave me It vibes, which I'm a fan of It, and I'm a fan of this film. So I am speaking pretty highly of this movie, but there were some criticisms that I want to share with you all. Starting off with my nitpicks first. I found the film at many points, not a lot. It didn't, discourage my overall feeling as far as my grade I'm going to give here in a little bit. But there are a good amount of plot conveniences that are found in this film, and also some logical stuff that didn't really make that much sense. For example, without spoiling it, there's a character by the name of Max. Max has some connections to our main character, the grabber. And the reason why Max annoyed me is they give him the he's stupid type of characteristics, and when you see the film, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm like, come on, Max, that didn't make that much sense to me. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, but you'll know what I'm talking about when you see the film. And there's other moments too where I'm like, wait a minute. The whole ghost talking to our main character to get out of the situation, some of the stuff just didn't make that much sense. And again, I don't want to spoil it, but again, those little nitpicks didn't really discourage my overall score, but things that kind of stood out to me. But the things that I did kind of have as a criticism, I am appreciative of mystery and not knowing everything about our main villain. But in this film, The Grabber, there was a lot that I thought was missed in regards to exploring more about his situation. And a lot of the times the film would imply certain things, but they wouldn't show us. Like the grabber in the basement, the grabber in the phone, and the grabber in its backstory, I wish was explored a little bit more, especially too, and this is another criticism, the film takes a little bit to kind of pick up. I think once Finn is kidnapped, that's when the film really kind of picks up in his narrative and really kind of gets things going. But going back to The Grabber, very similar to the film Sinister, where Scott Derrickson would give us like these flashbacks or give us like this grainy 70s look, kind of like homages. And in this film, they're like dream sequences. But in Sinister, we saw the darkness of that character and how he would kill his victims and things of that nature. At points to me, this film felt a bit tame, where I wish they, again, I know in horror it's almost better to imply things versus showing the audience, but I want to see certain things like the other past victims and how they were kind of taken and subdued and abducted, and kind of the more, again, I know some people don't want to see it, but I wanted to get more into the darker elements of the story, which I felt the film just kind of didn't push the envelope in that narrative. And then lastly, I mentioned all the performances were really solid. One performance stood out to me, and it's the father of our main characters, Finney, and his sister, Gwen. Their dad is a drunk. He's abusive. He has a past with his wife, and I just felt like it was forced. It didn't feel as organic, and it just didn't... I just didn't like the performance. He was the only one that stood out to me because everyone else was so up here and he was kind of down here. So he was the only performance that I just wasn't buying into. But hey, those are my pros. Those are my cons. Before I give you my score, my overall thoughts, make sure if you haven't to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Overall, man, The Black Phone is a horror film with a lot of heart, great emotions, great character development. I think our standouts with Ethan Hawke and Finney and his sister was fantastic. Scott Derrickson's direction was really strong. It has the heart that you want in a summer blockbuster type of horror film, but also it has the thrills, the chills, and some good amount of levity. I really recommend you all give it a watch. With that being said, I'm going to give The Black Phone a solid 4 out of 5. And let me know if you all enjoyed this film when you saw it. I'm recommending you all check it out this weekend. And when you do, again, let me know your pros, your cons, favorite moments, least favorite moments. Were you disappointed? Let's discuss all those topics in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching this video. Before you leave, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Again, I'm going to be doing more sponsored videos with Into the AM. And again, if you want to get their awesome t-shirts and their other apparel, I'm going to leave, again, the discount code in the description of this video. Thank you all for watching the breakdown. Hope you're staying safe. Come and join the community. Check out my most recent review. Check out my other movie reviews. And we'll catch you all on the next breakdown.